in the travel policy request.
Harold Doucet, 5180 Cambridge Street, Port Arthur, Texas. I'm here today to address the travel request that was done at the last meeting by the mayor. And when I looked at the agenda and I was going over the information, I noticed that in the background there was a travel request that was submitted to council. So I just went through the request to see what was the travel about. And as going through the request, I noticed several things that struck my mind. The first thing was that this request was placed under the consent agenda. The consent agenda is one where there are routine items that are routine in nature. So this request that is done, when we amended, this council amended the travel ordinance, it stated in there that there were certain conferences that was pre-approved. If a council member attend those, then they don't need to have any written requests on what the conference is about, how they're going to benefit the citizens and the city and themselves by going to it. So any conference that is not pre-approved is not routine in nature, because we said that required a written explanation on the cost, what it entails, and the benefits for the city and the citizen. So no one said anything about this. So I really didn't know. So what I did to find out about the conference, I Googled it. And I pulled up a schedule. And it became even more questionable for this particular travel. The total cost was $2,421. The agenda for that particular conference, the first day of the conference is scheduled to be December the 4th, Saturday. On that day is strictly registration. December the 5th is a Sunday. It entails a breakfast, trustees, summit, foundation board of director meeting, leadership briefing, retail networking reception, volunteer reception, and reception honoring the members of the Launch Academy, and retail receptions. And some of those are by invitation only. The next day is an exhibition hall all day, new dining concept and trends, small business go from pop-up to long-term, the future workplace, re-imaging the customer experience, return to play, the electric vehicles charging station at shopping centers, and technology paving the way to recovery and innovation. The next day, which is the 7th, Tuesday, which is the final day, it's an exhibition hall all day long. You know, I think someone should have had questions. If nothing else, I think the mayor should have at least briefed council and the citizens on how he feels it's going to benefit him and how it's going to benefit the city and the citizens, because that is what the ordinance, and when we discussed it, said that it is required to do. Because the whole purpose of amending that ordinance was to amend the ordinance so there'll be transparency to citizens so that they will know when council travel and why and how it's going to benefit them and the city. That was one of the purposes, transparency. This is not transparency if this information is not known to council and also citizens like myself. I wouldn't have to come before you. And the last part of this that I want to bring to council's attention is the fact that there was a car, a rental car that was approved with this. I have not heard of or traveled, or maybe you have, or none of you should know. When you go to conferences, you pay wherever you stay. If it's not where the conference is being held, they will provide a shuttle from the hotel where you're staying to where the conference is being held, and that shuttle runs all through the day. So anytime you choose to leave or go, within 15 minutes you could shuttle. So why do taxpayers have to pay for a vehicle for you to have? We have to be able to look at those things. That's why we amended this ordinance, so that council members can be held accountable for their travel, and also citizens understand why and approve it. And if you look at the registration fee, the registration fees fall into 3 categories. The first one is for members. Members of this organization pay $3.95. Student members of this organization pays $50. This city is paying $795 registration fee for this. $795. The mayor's not a member. Most of these things they're going to be doing, some of all are invitation only. So, I understand, council members, I've been in your seats. But I think this is a twofold. Council members have to police one another, and we have to be mindful of what we say in our ordinances and how we're supposed to conduct business and procedures. That could be found if you just checked the video in which this was approved. All of this was explained. The city attorney and the city secretary and 3 members of council was present. 3 members of council voted for it. And the city attorney and the city secretary should have understood from the discussion what is required. And they should at least let the mayor know this needs to be under discussion and you need to say something about it, Mayor. Because that's what we said is required. So what I find here is I'm up here before you today because there's a lot of things happening with this travel that no one discussed. It's not transparent, and above all, it's placed in an area of this agenda whereby it's consent, meaning routine in nature. And it's not routine if it's something that we said you need to do something for. It's not routine. So, as a citizen, I'm very dissatisfied because this is not following that ordinance. It's not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Mr. Doucet. It's your time. Thank you. Next order of business would be a presentation by staff regarding the October financial report.
Mayor, I need to say something.
Oh, excuse me, I just saw you late. I did not see it.
And this is not in response to Mr. Councilmember Doucet, but it's basically a note that's in the ordinance number 18-63 that the council approved back on October the 8th of 2018. And in the section 18, because my concern with pre-approved annual travel at that time was being able to attend other conferences other than those conferences that were pre-approved. And so my concern was about there are other council conferences that take place. And so in this particular ordinance in section number 8, it says pre-approved annual travel. It says any event not pre-approved will require the approval of City Council prior to travel arrangements being made. The mayor's secretary shall submit a City Council travel request form for inclusion on the city agenda, the council agenda. It does not say where on the agenda, does not tell us that it needs to be on the consent agenda, and it does not say that it needs to be as a resolution to vote upon. It just, this is what the policy says. I have it right here. And so this is in response, this is my response, not in particular to some of his concerns, Ms. Councilmember Doucet, but basically my concern when it came to traveling to other than those conferences that were pre-approved.
Right.
So if I wanted to attend WIMAGE or another conference that came up, I could do so by asking for those funds to be put up front, to ask for that in writing, and to submit all of my documentation to to verify that I was going to this women's conference and that if the council approved it. It did not say where it was going to be placed on the agenda. And that's for the citizens to have clarity based upon what I have here in the ordinance. It does not say where.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Councilwoman. Any other remarks on this? And if there aren't, we will move to the next order of business. Okay, the next order of business